All right, everybody, welcome to this episode of But First Read Your Bible, where we actually mean that. So this might be one of the only podcasts that asks you to shut it off because we actually want you to shut this off if you haven't read the Bible today. There was a little misunderstanding. We don't mean don't listen if you haven't read the entire Bible. What we mean is if you haven't read the Bible today. So shut it off, read a paragraph, chapter, a couple chapters, and then come back, because what matters most is that you get the Bible. And then this kind of banter is just extra. So we hope that there's some things that are said today that are beneficial to you. But the most beneficial thing is reading your Bible. So I'm here actually at Camp Barakel. I'm working in the kitchen, and I'm here with a good friend, Ben Glubker. Ben and I have known each other for about 35. I bet it's between 30 and 35 years would be my guess.
1993.
93.
33 years.
33 years. I was right there, right between 30 and 35. So Ben, why don't you just tell us about your practice of Bible reading? Well, let me just say, why don't you introduce yourself just in terms of what you do?
Yeah.
And, kind of where you're at in life right now. You feel free to introduce your family if you want or whatever. And then tell us about your practices in Bible reading. Oh, and oh my goodness, my wife sitting over there putting the thing up. We always like to start with prayer. So I will go ahead and start us out in prayer. So, Father, I thank you for the chance that we have to just have some banter, and I do pray that it ends up being productive for us. I just enjoy talking with Ben and enjoy his presence, and we've had a great friendship over the years, and I just appreciate him. And just being back up here where we met 33 years ago at Camp Barakel, and awesome that he gets an opportunity to speak, and I'm working in the kitchen, and just ask that you would just be blessed by the things that we say here in this time, and this fun conversation, but also serious as we think about your word and the way that you've led and guided us. Thank you in Jesus' name. Amen. Yeah. All right. So if you want to kind of introduce yourself, and then one of the things that I would like however you introduce yourself, you can feel free to share a testimony in there if you want. I would like to hear your testimony at some point along the way, and then also about your Bible intake plan. So what do you do?
So I pastor a church down in Oakland County, Davisburg. It's called Springview Community Church, and I've been there for about 15 years.
And I can vouch for that because I've actually been there.
It is a real church.
I believe it's true.
And I'm a real pastor, more or less. And I love pastoring Springview Community Church.
Yes,
and I grew up in a Christian home up in Saginaw, and I grew up in a Christian home, church, Sunday school, Christian school. I came to faith in Christ at a young age. I was 4 or 5 years old, and so ministry at the local Christian school and church, and so I've been blessed to have a lot of really positive, Christian influences in my life going all the way back. So it's
at home when I don't know if you remember the date or the time.
I don't remember the date, but no, it was at school. I was
That's cool.
It was like after a chapel, and my school teacher, they had talked about the gospel in chapel, and my school teacher, asked our class, and I remember taking me to the far side of the room in a little chair and sitting, talking, and praying with me. Miss Griffiths was her name.
Oh, that's cool.
But that goes back a long ways, 45 years ago now. But the Lord's been good all along. And so, I'm married. My wife, Kelly, we have 6 kids from ages 18 down to 7. And been 15 years at our church. And it's been a blessed place to be. So, that's
hard to believe it's been 15 years. My goodness, that's incredible.
Well, it's one of those things, how it is, where it both seems like it's been forever and has flown by all at the same time.
Yeah.
So
well, I remember when you called me. As a matter of fact, I remember where I was. I was at my credit union, getting in the car, and so it must have been we had mobiles back then, anyways. But probably was a flip phone. But I remember when you called me and said you were going to go to you were feeling the call and the tug to go to seminary.
Oh.
And that's when we lived
5 years before that.
And we lived in Portage at the time, and I was just, I think, fairly new at pastoring at Berean. I was an associate pastor back then. So and then so 15 years there.
I remember when I was coming out of seminary, you invited me to come speak at Recast when you were in the storefront.
Yeah.
And so I was excited to do it, partly because I love going to Recast, and partly because at the time I just didn't have a lot of sermons, and so I was trying to get one of my goals was I'm going to get a recording of a sermon that if I contact a church I can send out. So I got up there but 10 minutes maybe into this message, and I got, never before, never since, what I assume is what people refer to as cotton mouth. Like my whole
I remember
mouth
this.
was so dry, and it was like, and it was my aunt had come over from Holland to watch, and she's sitting next to Kelly going, "What is he doing with his mouth?" And
Is he okay?
and there was a drinking fountain just right around the corner,
Yes, yeah.
but I didn't want to screw up the recording, and so I just soldiered through it. And I'm sure recast, gracious as they are, but people were still like, "This guy is." I hope Don's back next week. Yeah. So, but anyway,
Is it
that's
First Peter? I want to say.
it. Might have been.
I think
I don't
I'm pretty
remember.
sure it was First
It might
Peter.
have
I think I
been.
remember.
Yes,
But
First Peter. Yeah,
that's awesome.
So-
So yeah, testimony, awesome, young, Christian school.
Christian school all the way through, yeah.
Yeah.
Christian school, Christian college, even.
Yep.
Word of Life Bible Institute, Liberty University.
Yeah. And I always thought that was unique, just a little rabbit trail, but I thought it was unique, the program that you came under at Word of Life. So I met you before you had gone to college.
That's right.
You were
Summer before.
19, 18?
18.
18, yeah, and I was 20 that summer. And then you went off to Word of Life,
Yeah.
and then they had some kind of a reciprocal program. What was that like with?
They
Liberty or something?
had, I don't know where the money came from, but at the time, if you graduated from Word of Life, which is just a one-year Bible thing, everyone's taking the same classes, and maybe 400 or 500 students. But if you graduated from 1 year at Word of Life, you could go to Liberty for $2,300 a year. And again, I don't know where the money came from, but even in
2,300
even
a
and that
year.
that was tuition, room, board. It was like you pay $2,300 and you sign up for your classes and move into a dorm. And so even in 1994, that was a crazy deal.
Yeah, because it probably would have been like 8 a semester, I'm guessing. Or
Yeah,
something. Wasn't
I would
it?
have guessed
I think
15 was probably year-long
Yeah.
price at the time. So
Yeah.
so that was, it
Yeah.
made it kind of a no-brainer, to be
Yeah,
honest. Because
20.
you just, you can't, to go to a, an accredited, high-level Christian university for that, you couldn't turn it down. So,
Yeah.
and I had a good experience there. Yeah.
an undergraduate degree was in.
History, Bible minor, history major, Bible minor.
Okay.
So, and which has served me well. I don't know,
Yeah.
I've got a son just graduated high school, and if he told me he wanted to be a history major, I'd be like, I'm not sure what job that
Yeah.
leads to, but the Lord's been good to me. And so it, going on, it was a 8-year gap between when I graduated college and when I went to seminary. And history has served me well, I think, in pastoral ministry. It's a good ancillary related discipline.
Yeah. It's interesting because I was literally just talking over the 4th. We were in Cleveland, and with one of my nephews, I was talking with him about what his plans are. He's super passionate about history, loves history, and is thinking he wants to go study history.
Yeah.
But I asked him, because his dad is a pastor as well, I asked him, I said, have you ever considered ministry? And he said, actually, I have. I thought about being a pastor.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I know a guy who loves history, studied history.
Yeah.
And I actually used that phrase. I said, I think it served him pretty well. Like, it was not a bad degree to have undergraduate if you're going to go on to seminary.
I think so.
know.
I mean, if it was me, there are places that have these, MDiv and 5-year programs now. But if it was me encouraging, and I've talked to this with my own son, that if you were going to consider ministry, I wouldn't go study Bible in undergraduate.
Yeah,
and then redundantly do it again in seminary.
which is what I feel like has happened for me. And
Well,
that's why
'cause you don't know, right? You don't know when
Yeah.
you're going into what the path looks like. But I mean, I would take something like history, literature, English. I've even thought pre-law. I don't know how much I would encourage people toward law school, but that's all about careful reading, careful writing, careful argumentation. So I think there's a variety of things like that are ancillary to kind of the biblical studies and theology. That's actually super helpful.
Yeah.
If my son was like, "That's where I'm going," I would say, "Well, don't do Bible now. Do something that will help you, really pour into it later."
So on a more personal note,
Yeah.
I mean, we'll probably dive back into pastoral things here in a little bit, but on a personal note, like when it comes to your own personal study, I'm always curious. I'd like to ask, like, is there a place that you find that God meets with you in the Word? Like I tell people, I've said it a couple of times on here so far, that there's a brown chair and a bay window looking out over the woods
Yeah.
that like is kind of my place.
Yeah.
And I love to just sit there, and sometimes deer walk through or whatever, but it's just a meditative place where,
Yeah.
I mean, God has met with me so many times there that it's kind of like a location, but it's okay if you don't have that. I mean, some people don't, and they just kind of wherever they can kind of hunker down with the Word. But what does it look like? Like what does it look like for your spiritual discipline of Bible intake? And then is there any kind of routine around that or whatever.
Yeah, it is. I wish I did have a place like that. I've always, I've noticed, been to your house many times, stayed there many times, and I've always appreciated your kind of ritual discipline, in your chair. And mine has been a little more chaotic, which might just have to do with the general chaos of my mind and life. But
Well, you've got a lot of young kids.
yeah,
still at
yeah,
home.
we get young kids.
Yeah.
It typically is down in the basement. I've got a little desk table tucked away near our furnace in our basement.
Yeah.
So it's either there usually, or I'll do it after I go into church, which is not ideal. A lot of this actually in the last few months has been a little bit in flux, just because my schedule has started working out with some guys from church, like 8:30 in the morning, which has been really good for me. Like when it's just me waiting for me, I often don't show up. But when my when my buddies are waiting for me, I show up. So I've had to adjust things to, like, I need to start some things earlier. It's just kind of
Trying to figure that out.
yes. So that's been a little in flux as far as place, but the idea of having a place, I think, is significant, and I'd like to get that. But a lot of that's been we've been gone a ton. We've been up here several times and a couple of trips, and so
Summer's busy.
yeah. So the routine is it's a long answer to a short question, which is my routine is actually changing right now. Some of that is I meet with the guys in a pastor cohort that a kind of veteran pastor area does. And we were talking a couple months ago about just the significance of the pastor's own spiritual life undergirding the ministry. And I came out of that, on one hand, that's kind of old, like that, but I came out of that thinking, I need to give more attention to this, right? I need to give it more time, more depth. And one of the things that came out of that is, and there was several guys in the group who like this, is that I have for quite a while just read through the Bible in a year, which I think is a lot of pluses to. Mm-hmm. The downside for me is I often find myself just cruising, right? I got 3 or 4 chapters I got to get through. And one of the things that this guy's name is Doug Schmidt, one of the things that he said there is he's talking about just different ways to go at it. And he said, sometimes you read till the Holy Spirit stops you. I don't know how technically precise that phrase is, but I knew what he meant. When you're reading, I got to read 4 chapters and I got 25 minutes, and you see something that grabs you, and then you keep reading, and it's like, nah, what if I stop there?
Yeah.
And so I have just very recently started, I jumped out of my read through the Bible in a year plan, and am focusing on, what I'm actually doing right now is going back and forth between a couple things. One is 1 Timothy. I'm hoping to spend some time in memorization in there, and maybe preach, maybe later next year. And then a section in Luke I'm going to preach later this year. And so one week, Monday to Saturday, I'm reading the 6 chapters that make up that section in Luke. And then the alternating week, I'll read the 6 chapters of 1 Timothy, just a chapter a day. Okay. And I'm just waiting to see where the Holy Spirit stops me, and trying to write and journal. And it's been good, been really good for me, because I like to slow down and think about stuff, but you see the long list. And so it's been nice to sit down and go at 4 in the afternoon. I remember what I read and was thinking about and praying about this morning. This morning it was in Luke 5, and Jesus, in the midst of ministry, withdraws to a desolate place to pray.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, that's good. I want to sit in that a little bit, think about it, pray about it, write a little bit about it. So that's my current, but it's fairly new. I'll tell you how it goes, but I'm pretty optimistic. It's good. So
that's interesting, because that's what the devotions were about from Dave Myron this morning.
Luke 5?
Yeah. It was in John, but it was a passage of Jesus withdrawing. It was the feeding of the 5,000. That's what it was. After the feeding of the 5,000, he withdraws to a quiet place to pray.
Dave Myron is on it, because I was just talking to him after lunch about 2 Chronicles 26 and the story of King Uzziah, and he's telling me all these details. I'm like, he goes, I just did a devotion on it last week with the staff, whatever. I'm like, yeah, awesome. Grief. So if you have any questions about the Bible, Dave Myron is all over whatever everybody's reading. He's the cook at Camp Barakel. Yeah, he's on it.
He knows what's going on.
He's on it. Yeah.
It's
crazy, yeah.
Well, and that's one thing that I think that you've probably found this too. And I was talking with Ben, our my student ministry pastor, but how often, like, what you're reading in your quiet time somehow dovetails with what you're preparing to teach others. Yeah. So like you'll be in a sermon series, and it's like you're reading something like, well, even just like I was telling him, like I just wrapped up reading the first 5 books, Deuteronomy, while I'm in Nehemiah. And they read they read the law over the up to the 24th day of the 7th month. They read every day, and they had a daily reading, and they had enough time to get through all of that. And that's what I think they did. I think they actually read basically Genesis to Deuteronomy. So just having read what they read is really kind of cool to have just experienced that, and then to be preaching about their response to having read it. So it's cool how that.
I think so. I think it might be a little bit analogous to, you know, sometimes you talk to people and they just always have a funny story. And you think, how many funny things can happen to one person? But what I think what actually is the case is they just have eyes to see things. You know what I mean? They just notice and remember.
There's funny things everywhere.
Yes, and it's just, if you pay attention, it's there for all of us.
Yeah.
And I think the same is true with Scripture, right?
Yeah,
If you're in it, it's not like, oh, I amazingly picked this passage. There's so many connections across the Scriptures that if you're in it and thinking about it, there's going to be something. My father is 75, and since he's retired, he's really strapped on Scripture memory as a discipline. And so he's memorized several New Testament books. He's just about to finish 1 Thessalonians. He started at the beginning of the year. And so, but you talk to my dad.
Wow.
I mean, you talk to my dad about anything spiritual related, and at some point he's going to be like, well, Paul would say, and then he quotes 5 verses at you, right?
Yeah.
Because it's just in there.
That's
and
so cool, yeah.
That's where we need to be, right? I mean, that's so. I'm challenged by his scripture, man. As they talk about 1 Timothy, it's like before I preach that, I'd like to devote that to memory. So,
and I think that, you know, one of the things, like you had said, you know, like you read through the Bible in a year, or you got to get through these 3 or 4 chapters. I've mixed it up a bit. I think sometimes even just mixing it up with the translation, you know. So I mean, as much as this might evoke an eye roll, you know, read the Message. As long as you're confident in like the Scriptures and you know when you've read them, like if the only thing you've ever read is the Message, probably branch out a bit.
Yeah.
But if you've read the ESV for the 4th time, why not? You know, grab the Message, or right now, like so last year I read the CSB for the first time.
Yeah.
This year I'm reading the LSB.
Is that Lexham?
Legacy Standard, which is MacArthur's.
Okay.
Well, it's a master's. I
Right.
don't know what role MacArthur had on in that before he passed, but So, and then I did one year where I literally set a stopwatch, a timer, and I read for 10 minutes.
Okay.
And I made it through the Bible in that year. And it was like, what? Like it was 10 minutes of Bible reading every day.
Yeah.
And what I did is I finished whatever chapter I was in. Like I wouldn't just like shut it in the middle of a verse or whatever. Right. But when the alarm clock went off, I just wrapped that up and closed it out.
Yeah,
so
great.
Just doing things different sometimes is helpful.
Yeah, I like the translation idea. And even you talk about the Message. I mean, you wouldn't want to do your word studies out of it, but Peterson was a PhD in Old Testament from Johns Hopkins or somewhere. I mean, he was no slouch with the language. Well,
and I've seen a lot of things. It mildly aggravates me when people call it a paraphrase, because Peterson started with the original languages.
Yeah.
It's a translation. Yeah. It's absolutely a translation. It's one man's translation.
Yeah.
And that's what you've got to qualify.
Right. Very idiomatic.
He didn't have a committee, checking his thoughts on things or whatever. I'm sure that he did bounce ideas off of friends and others that were in academia, but no, it's not a paraphrase. He did not begin with any given English text of the Bible, which is the definition of a paraphrase, right? You start with English and go to English. That's paraphrase.
Can we do a podcast where I ask you questions about Eugene Peterson? Not this one, but a different one.
That would be fun. But go ahead and throw one at me.
No, I don't have any interest at the moment. I want to brush up, and I want to hear you wax on about Eugene Peterson.
So the funny thing is, I would have told you a long time ago, like I don't have any heroes, and I still don't, in the sense that I don't believe that there's anybody that's perfect, that's worthy of kind of that status. I mean, obviously Christ is the hero, and I'm pretty satisfied to stick with that. But I've got people that I like. Yeah. And I mean, Peterson is one of those guys that just I think he's rescued me in many ways in pastoral ministry.
Yeah.
I'm actually,
Pastoral
Yeah.
is the key word there, right?
Right.
So pastoral.
Yes.
Yeah.
And a theology of, like, one of the only guys out there that was writing and talking in the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s about pastoral ministry. And what is a pastor? And everybody, I mean, everybody thinks they've got a definition until you ask them for it.
Yeah.
What is a pastor supposed to be doing?
Mm-hmm.
You ask 10 people, you're going to get 10 different answers, maybe 12.
Yeah.
You know, so and it's what is a pastor?
Yeah.
Think I know that.
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
Well, the three things, I forget which book it's in, where he
working the angles.
Working the angles, where he's got his own kind of way of talking about scripture, and another way about prayer, but then that third one about spiritual direction, which we've talked about.
Contemplative exegesis is the way he speaks of the sermon prep that's prepping you.
Contemplative exegesis, yeah, that's a good phrase. But that third one, that spiritual direction, is the one where you often, I'm reading a little book right now by a guy named Reuben Bredenhoff called The Ministry of Small Things. And it's like 30 chapters, short, about 3 chapters, and it's really about pastoral ministry, really about caring for people in the small things. There's 30 chapters. I'm reading one a day this month.
Yeah.
And it's good. Peterson came to mind this morning. I'm like, this is, maybe more attention to this.
I'm in my annual listening to the pastor right now.
Okay.
And I probably listened to that now. I'm probably on 7 or 8 years in a row of
Okay.
listening to that book. So it's a like a book that I just keep coming back to.
Yeah.
That and N.D. Wilson's Notes from the Tilt-A-Whirl. Have you read that one?
Not a fan of the writing style.
I go back to that one every year too. So those are 2 books that I read every year. So I mean, it's kind of getting to the point now where I know what's coming, and I still delight in it. Like, so yeah. And you're absolutely right. Like, N.D. Wilson's writing style is not for everybody. But man, I think it's skilled. I think it's skillful, right?
I couldn't do it. No.
Yeah, that's impressive. Books that you have read, one of the things that I want to talk with you about is, I know that, I mean, we've been friends for 33 years, and it's been kind of cool. Like, I mean, you were a friend, like, when Lynn and I got married, you kind of stuck with us. And what I mean by that is, like, a lot of people when they get married, single friends fall off. And you kept that friendship. I mean, you came and visited us at places. I came up and visited you when you were at Liberty.
Yep.
I was in South Carolina at seminary, and we hung out. I remember that Kentucky Fried Chicken Day. Do you remember that was the best buffet I've ever had in my life? Because we were starving, and it was like it was kind of like, well, we just got around the next bend, and we're going to get to the top of this thing. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And it was like, no, it's not right around the next bend. And we what's that? We were hiking.
Peaks of Otter.
In
Bedford,
Virginia.
Bedford, Virginia.
And I went up to visit him, and then we went for this hike, and I don't think we had lunch. And of course, we were dudes, so we didn't pack anything to eat.
Right.
And we came down off that mountain with a fierce hunger.
Put a hurting on a KFC buffet.
We went to a KFC buffet, and
yeah.
they did not make money on us.
They did not make money on us. No.
We rolled out of there 50 pounds heavier. But that was a lot of fun. But I mean, so we've had a friendship over the years that's been fun, and it's kind of fun just because I feel like we can pick up a text thread, or I can call you or whatever, and it's just like we pick up right where we left off, and that friendship is really valuable in life. And then I also know that experiencing your friendship has been one thing, but then also knowing that you value friendship and that you've read some things about it, and just kind of talk a little bit about what you see and perceive as like friendship in relationship to discipleship in the church, because I know that's something you put some thought into. I don't know if you've been able to implement any programs on that or anything, but what does that look like?
I don't know if I have a programmatic outcome, at least at this point in time. Other than at our church, we talk a lot about learning Christ together. We take that from Ephesians 4:20. And one of the ways, so what I did there is I went through the whole New Testament. Ephesians 4:20 says, that's not the way you learned Christ. And that word learn is manthano. It's the same thing we get the noun mathetes or disciple from. So I went through, just searched the whole New Testament. I want to know every place that talks about what does it mean to learn Christ, you know.
Yeah.
I wasn't interested, or what does it mean to be a disciple? And so anyways, we came up with 5 of those. But one of those is obviously love. But one way this played out is when I talk about loving one another in the church, I always like to lean into friendship. Because it's not the only, friendship doesn't cover everything that has to do with love. But if you say, well, love is doing good deeds for people, I could come over to your house and rake your yard for a couple hours and go home and not think about you again until the next service project comes along.
Right, yeah.
And I want to try to encourage people to lean into friendship as a kind of way of displaying love. We're just built for it. Drew Hunter has a book, it's been pretty widely read, called Made for Friendship. And he talks, and he kind of lays out a biblical theology of friendship. When you think of Abraham as a friend of God, and Jesus in his upper room discourse says, I no longer call you servants, John 15, I call you friends.
Yeah.
And so friends, that idea works its way through the entire Bible in some pretty significant ways.
Yeah.
So I think we have a theological and biblical basis for it, but I think just experientially, we just know. I've said for quite a while now, my favorite thing to do is eat food I like with people I like.
I can relate to
do you know what I
that.
mean? If every evening it's like, what are we doing tonight? We're going to eat this food, whether it's my wife making it at home or we go out somewhere. We're eating this food with these people. I'm going to be a pretty happy guy. I just think friendship is such a. If you have good friends, you almost certainly have a good life.
Yeah.
And if you don't have friends, it's tough.
Yeah.
I mean, it just is.
And I think that's a problem in our culture. I think there is
There's data on that, right?
Yeah.
We see that. 20 years ago, people had an average of 4.9 close friends, and now they report 2.3 or something.
I did not know that.
I made those numbers up, but it's substantial. It's
okay.
you can sociological data on the loss of friendship and people having fewer friends. It's a real thing.
I think I'm trying to remember if it was Lewis. I think it's C.S. Lewis, in speaking of his relationship with the Inklings. I think he said something to the effect of, he was speaking about friendship, and I'm gonna butcher this, but he said something to the effect of, when you find somebody who has something that you hold uniquely, like you hold as unique, like you think it's just you.
Yeah.
And then you find that it's somebody else. It's kind of like there's this, you too moment that forges friendship that I think is, I think it's very natural to think in the church. And I'm thinking out loud right now. I think it's very natural to think that it's, we all hold Christ in common in the church.
Yeah.
And therefore we all have this thing in common. Therefore we all have friendship.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure that that's quite it. I remember in England, I'll give you an example of where I'm kind of going with this. In England, I remember a pastor, it was the pastor at the church that we attended, small church, met in a community center, evangelical, strong in evangelism to their Muslim neighbors, and just really gospel oriented. He really took issue with me having a friend. He actually said, I think it's inappropriate that you would be closer with this person in the church than you are with this person in the church. And he outright, it wasn't implied, it was stated, this is not appropriate. Like that you would prefer this person in their company over this person in their
Because
company.
you're a church member or because you're a pastor?
I wasn't a pastor.
Okay,
I
so
was
just as a church member.
Just as a person who attended the British church there. Because I was a missionary. I wasn't pastoring there. And I never even preached there, but it's kind of an interesting concept, and I kind of think, but God has designed us this way.
Yeah.
There's an affinity that is natural. Jesus was like, I've got 12.
Yeah.
And then there's the 70.
Right.
And then there were 120 in an upper room, or and then I don't know. I don't think that there's any shame in that, and I think Christ modeled that, right? Like he had a group that were with him all day long on the roads, and it wasn't everybody's with me all
And he
day
sent
long.
out 70, and he had 12, and he had 3, right?
Yeah.
I think that guy's perspective is completely unrealistic on human nature and how we're wired. You can't have, if you've got to have a flat line of level of friendship with every person in your church, community, or neighborhood, you're lowering the overall. You're just spread so thin,
Yeah, and I think that you're gonna water down those relationships to a fairly platonic level.
Have to. Oh yeah. No, I think you. different people need different amounts of friends, I think.
Yeah.
But if you have, if you have someone who, obviously if you share that bond in Christ, I mean, you and I, we have that. We have a history here together, and then even outside of here over the last 30 years, both in pastoral ministry. We cross at so many levels.
Both fairly good at geography. I mean,
Some of us are exceptional.
One at least a little bit better than the other.
Yeah,
But, I
well,
mean, it's like-
well,
oh, great wives, says
Great.
Linda. Both have great wives. So.
both have great wives. So I mean, there's so many ways. Yes, both drive automobiles with 4 tires. We have. So there's a lot of unique overlaps there. But it's I think there is. So that when you and I talk about things in a general way, it's like if I share something with you going on in my life, I can be pretty confident you're going to get it. Like, I mean, I have
vice versa,
no point of reference for that. That just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So it's and that's a blessing. I mean, we did several years ago. We did a session of our small groups at our church, and we did them around Vaughn Roberts, an English pastor. I think it's called Made for Friendship, True Friendship, whatever. It's a book on friendship. And so we went through this book,
about it.
and it was a pretty good book. But I remember we got to the end of one of the lessons talking about the importance of having, some significant close. And we had an older woman in our group, goes to church for a long time, and she's just like, what do you do if you don't have any friends like that? And you go, golly, that's.
And she was older.
She's in her 60s anyway, and so it's like you've gone a long time without that, and I don't. I just think in that Drew Hunter in that book Made for Friendship, he cites, I think it's J.C. Ryle, something to the effect of friendship is that thing that halves our sorrows and doubles our joys. Which
I
is
love
just
that.
a great sense, right? I mean, I enjoy
sorrows.
this, but it's even more fun if I can bring you with me to enjoy it together. It just makes it twice as fun. I think friendship is. I've got a lot of things on friendship that I am eager to still read and think through, because I think as a church. Again, I think friendship is a key way we love one another, and we want to foster as much friendship in the church as we can.
Well, and as a pastor, like I just delight, like so a lady in our church had a 40-year birthday, her birthday, 40th, and her husband put on a big shindig for her, and so there were a handful of families from the church that were out there together, and he got like a tent and food and all that stuff, and it was a surprise, and he legitimately surprised her. It was crazy. I mean, he just had this, it looked like a county fair out there with bouncy castles for the kids and all that stuff. But I there was a point there where I was kind of sitting off by myself, just observing, just taking it in for a second. And I watched the people that were talking to each other, and there was a group of ladies sitting around in chairs talking with each other, and the guys were standing over here, and kids are running around and everything. And I was like, man, there's something so beautiful about this. When you see like friendships, and especially like I love to see that with the people who are, when you've got those toddlers, when you've got you're having babies and you're having toddlers and all this stuff, and it's like that stage of life where you're kind of in the trenches together, and to see them supporting each other and encouraging each other, and I think that friendship is really, really vital. And it's also it's kind of like I think that's a big part of what I want to see in my church is people actually like each other. I mean, I could have 5,000 people showing up to hear me preach on Sunday morning, but if there's none of that, what is the encouragement again? Numbers on a spreadsheet?
Absolutely.
Like that's just not it.
No, I think.
How do you encourage your people to be friends?
Oh, Linda just asked, how do you encourage your people to be friends? So they are, and I don't know that I could write a book on how to do it. So I don't know that there's been anything that I've done that's produced that, but I don't know, Ben, if you.
What did you say to your little lady you asked?
I don't remember what I said.
so
Other than
challenging.
some expression of sympathy, because you just feel a person who's gone this long in life and doesn't feel like they have that level of friendship is sad. And I think, I don't have a programmatic way. I mean, like so many things in church, you want to encourage things and try to how to encourage them, even structurally with a program or plan or something, some kind of setup. It's tough because you can't just say you got to be friends. You should go do this. Although some people do that. Some people are good at it actually. But in general, I think it's.
Even the cliche answer, real quick. Hold that thought. The cliche answer: you got to be a friend to have a friend. It's like, well, that's not particularly helpful, right?
Right.
Who? Where?
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks. Thanks for the. Thanks
So
for
it's my fault. Yes. Thank you for clarifying that I've done this to myself.
Yeah. What were you gonna say?
No, just that I think, as for the sake of our people who are in our church already, and for the people we're trying to reach. You don't. I think a network, a matrix of close friendships becomes, I think, a kind of apologetic for the Christian faith.
Yeah.
I think we see some evidence of that in the early church pre-Constantine, that the way they loved and cared for one another was so unusual. Even the familial language, brother and sister, was not. To be used outside the biological family was rare, and it's all the time in the New Testament, all the time in the early church. Is a level of we're a family, and so I think
all things in common.
Church. I think that kind of thing is. I don't know that you can program it, but as much as you can cultivate that kind of ethos, I think it's a big deal. And I'm sure church leaders have to lead the way in that, both in modeling it. And the challenge, I guess, is of course you and I can't be close friends with every single person in our church.
Right,
We just without spreading ourselves so thin that we're very small
giving
friends.
just a little.
Yes, and so it's and there's an old. Kind of the older mindset a couple generations back, which was maybe this is your guy in England's thing too, which was kind of like pastors can't have friends in the church.
Yeah, and I've heard that stated by an American pastor directly.
Yeah, no, I've heard that said too.
Be careful, don't get too close to your people.
Yeah, I don't buy that. I understand. I think where it's coming from, but I don't, because you don't want to communicate you have favorites in one sense.
No,
so you got to be careful in that sense, but. But I don't know how you can expect people to.
And I mean, we still run to the need, right? Like if there's a member of our flock that's hurting, we go there, and we go there, with equal compassion and care, regardless of whether it's a friend or not a friend. But then, when everything's all equal, there are going to be some people that I'm going to get together with occasionally on a Saturday night to barbecue, and that's okay too, right?
Yeah.
So, and I do think that I want to ask your thoughts on the OU2 thing by C.S. Lewis, kind of implying that there's a common ground. Like I joke about geography, or like enjoying talking about history, or now we're pastors, and which is an added dimension that you're leading a church, I'm leading a church, and we bounce ideas off of each other and stuff. I guess where I kind of wonder is it unspiritual? Like I feel like there's a way of thinking about friendship or conceiving of it that it's only really, really spiritual if it's centered on fellowship in Christ. Like in other words, those guys at the party the other night, they very well might have been talking about Michigan's prospects for football coming up.
Yeah.
And probably likely knowing a couple of them, that probably came up. I ended up having a long conversation about World Cup soccer and who's going to win, and so is that less friendship? Like what are your thoughts on that? Like is it like are we driving in the church for friendship where you sit and you quote scripture with each other and you talk about Jesus together, or what do you make of like some of the things that? Because I think I can understand how there's there are more robust causes that unite us, and then there are some trivial things that unite us, and I'm not sure that the trivial things are inconsequential either.
Yeah, I don't think so either. But I do think that the more consequential the things that unite us, the deeper the friendship is likely to go.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah,
I maybe if I thought about that a little longer, I could nuance that. But I do think there's. If you and I could go on about World Cup soccer, and that's fine. We're not going to get too deep into our hearts over World Cup soccer.
Exactly. Yeah.
Whereas when we get into the more significant issues of life or scriptures, then I think the potential for going deeper is there for sure. I don't want to trivialize those kind of don't want to say lower level friendships, but I don't. I think some people will have different levels of friendship for sure, and friends may get together and talk. 3 times out of 5 they talk about the World Cup and whether the Tigers are actually going to turn it around or if they're just going to keep teasing us all summer, and, that kind of thing. And the other times will be around more substantial things. But I think having another angle on that too is I think in a friendship when you genuinely care about the other person, there are things that you and I might get into and talk about that I wasn't even thinking about beforehand. But then you go off on this thing, and it's like, well, if Don's interested in that, that's interesting to me too,
Yeah.
And I think also, almost no matter what the topic is, you can come back around to spiritually significant issues related to that worldview issues. We can. But I wouldn't want to burden someone with thinking, well, look, if you're going to be my friend, you better bring deep theology and original language exegesis. You know what I mean? It's like, I like Michigan football too. So sometimes we can talk about that. And,
and I think sometimes for guys in the church, like you don't get deep without connecting over shallow things first.
Yeah.
So sometimes, like I think that, I have to look into this. I think that there was something that was fairly academic that connected Lewis and Tolkien at first. And I think maybe even some disagreements about allegory and some things like that kind of sparked a little bit of like conversation with them that obviously took eventually a deep root in their lives, and they ended up becoming close friends and talked about everything. And then, there's a lot of depth that developed because of that. But I think sometimes it takes for guys particularly some of those like, hey, oh, you like Michigan too, and sometimes that's how something actually forms. But
we generally don't lead with our feelings.
No, generally not.
Generally don't lead with our feelings.
That's a good point. That's very, very true. So let's see. Authors or books that you're reading or have read recently that stand out to you that are been benefit or
this little book by Ruben Bredenhoff on pastoral ministry has been good. Ministry in small things. I want to get back into. I just watched this movie about Whitefield. Have you seen it?
No.
The Great Awakening, it's called.
Okay.
And I'm sure the historians would quibble with it a little bit, but I love reading biography. Oh. And I just read a short biography that Banner of Truth does on Edward Irving, Scottish, early 1800s, forerunner to the charismatic. No, he's Presbyterian, but he was forerunner to the charismatic movement. This is a fascinating story. It's just short. I'd never heard of him before, so I just read that, but it got me thinking about biography again. And we just watched on vacation. We watched with our extended family this Great Awakening movie. It's like the friendship of Whitefield and Franklin. And again, I'm sure the historians would quibble with, they're trying to walk a careful line there. But it made me like, I want to grab Dallamore's biography of Whitefield and get into that. So that's something that's on my schedule. But things I've been reading, nothing else jumps out that I've been reading lately. Yeah.
I read something that made me think of you. I don't think I've talked with you since I finished it, but I read. I don't think I'm going to come up with the author, but you might be able to. It's called T.R. The Last Romantic, and it's a biography on Teddy Roosevelt.
Yeah.
Fascinating, and I picked it up. So I literally. Brands.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with him?
I've heard the name.
He's written a couple of biographies of famous people. Very, very thorough, thick book. And I listened to it, so it was like I think a 30-hour, 30+ hour listen. But just intriguing about. I just really enjoyed learning about the time of his presidency, which I couldn't have. I was like, he is president, but I don't have the presidents even memorized by name and order or whatever. And turn of the 1800s to the 1900s, and I found it interesting to I think that was really beneficial to me to realize just how incredibly intense the political scene was during his time. To compare that to now, and just to say man, we are so historically depraved Deprived, that's the word I was looking for. Maybe we're historically depraved too, but
Yeah.
deprived of a historical understanding that it actually, we're anemic in that area. And because our culture tends to not dig into history as much, we struggle to,
Definitely.
because I mean, he's insulting Taft. I mean, like if he had Twitter, Trump would have nothing on him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like the way that they bantered and the way that they jabbed each other. I mean, I think he at one point said, Taft has the brain of a hamster or a guinea pig or something like that. I mean, they're just insulting each other openly. They just didn't have a big enough platform to make it real, But
Well, we have a huge recency bias towards whether it's politics, even theology, right? We think, well, you go back a couple generations. We just did a trip out east, and a lot of this America 250 stuff, and thinking about the Constitution, and you realize those founding fathers. I mean, you take the political leaders today and sit them down at a table, and I think they'd all get up and go, "These guys are idiots." Like the founders would be like, "They don't know anything about political philosophy, right? They're wrestling through the most complex, difficult, and to your point, in Roosevelt's century, and a little more later, but a lot of political conflict, a lot of political debate, and today we tend to be." Simplistic, right? We have very little principled debate. It's just who are your enemies, who are my enemies, and we're on the same team because we have the same enemies, and this kind of thing. I mean, even theologically, our membership class at our church, the text I used for it's a 4-week class. I use it's a Charleston summary of church discipline from 1774, and I love it. Because I love it because it covers all the things I want to cover in a church membership class. It really is a class about theology of church. What do we believe church is theologically, and then how do we do it? But what I like about it is it just points out that 2.5 centuries ago, they were thinking about all these questions way harder than we are.
Oh, yeah.
We're like, well, what seems to work here, And they're thinking very biblically. The little preface to it says it's written, it's almost apologetic. It's like this preface, the reason this is so short, and it's like 18 pages long, is because it's written for, ignorant and unlearned men. And I always tell the class, which is why I gave it to you. And, so you start reading.
You haven't given me a copy yet.
No, you're not ready for it. You're not ready for it. Yeah. And,
let me know when I'm ready.
I'll
probably get it in the mail when it's time.
I'll send you. I'll send you a few coloring pages first, and you can get yourself worked up to it. But you read it and you go, and the language and such is at a level where it seems like anything but church for dummies, like they're claiming it is. Right. But today it's Roosevelt.
It's like top shelf stuff here.
If it would fit today, if you were today, the publisher would be like, you got to bring that down so people can understand it. And they're like, sorry, this is so stupid.
Pictures? Can you put
that's right.
Pictures in
That's
there?
right. Can we do some kind of
charts and
animated?
graphs.
Yes. So Roosevelt's great. A couple years ago, we went on a family trip out east, and we went through New York. I wanted the kids to see New York, and just because it's unlike anything we know. And then we went over to Long Island, and the only reason we went to Long Island because I wanted to go to Sagamore Hill, Roosevelt's home, which is an amazing place to visit. I mean, it's super cool.
Yeah, I would love to see that.
Yeah, and it sits at a great spot. And it's got their Latin family motto over the front door, And I'm like, I want a Latin family motto too. I need to figure out what mine's going to be, But it's just, what a remarkable guy, a remarkable guy.
Well, and in real life, like, I mean, his I didn't realize that his first wife, his real first love, died.
Alice, I think.
And then he had a daughter named Alice. With her, and really just could not manage. Like he did.
He took off for the Dakotas. He had a ranch out there.
He left her with his sister.
Yeah, that's right.
His sister raised his first daughter, and she did. I mean, the biography didn't pull any punches, which is a good biography, I think. But his daughter did not feel his love, but again, like the subtitle, "The Last Romantic," like he had, like he couldn't think of his daughter without thinking of his wife, and it just brokenhearted. So he just walled a part of himself off, which doesn't justify it, but it's just like incredible. So
it's a fascinating guy, fascinating case. I Candace Millard's, I think it's River of Doubt, after he lost the presidency. He re-ran in 1912 or whatever.
Yeah.
And then when he lost, he's like, I'm going to go to South America and find the source of a river.
And he did.
He did. He about killed him. I mean,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And that is actually what ended up taking his life, was I think an injury that he sustained, or an infection that he got there that never recovered from. But,
Yeah.
And he was just a rough and tumble, like, I mean, out there, like ranching.
Oh yeah.
In South Dakota, or even is it South Dakota?
This is
or North
Dakota somewhere. Yeah, I don't remember
Dakotas.
where.
But yeah, super cool. I didn't know much about that history, and that was pretty cool. So 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 we're back here at Camp Barakel. First met you here 33 years ago, and we're still hanging around here.
Yeah.
So how has God used Camp Barakel in your life?
Well, I was just thinking about this. You met your wife here at Camp Barakel.
I did,
which is a big deal.
That's a huge deal.
And I also met your wife here at Camp Barakel.
Yeah, that's
so.
right.
Yeah,
So we
both have got big things that have happened here at Camp Barakel.
I saw your name. I remember exactly where I was the first time I ever saw your name written, because it was right next to the name Mike Goy, because you came late to counselor workshop. Is this ringing a bell?
Yeah, because I graduated high school.
Yeah. So we were in the West Side Chapel, sitting on the stage up there in chairs, learning. Just kind of like, we came in. And we had been praying, and I think it might have been like day 3 or 4 of workshop or whatever. And we had been praying for a couple more guy counselors, and there were 2 names just written on the whiteboard up front. And so when we got there, Paul Gardner got up and said, "Hey, we've got," or maybe was it even Paul, or was it Dave, or I don't know who would have been running it back then. But he got up and said, "We've got 2 new guys that are on their way. They just got to wrap up some things downstate, and they're coming up." And Ben Glupker was one of those names, and Mike Goy was the other. And I'm still friends with both of you to this day.
Great.
So
I sat across Mike at the reception at your daughter's wedding.
Yes,
which was wonderful.
so
wonderful. Yeah.
Isn't it fun when you have those old friendship connections and stuff? And
It is. Yeah, camp has been a big deal in my life at a young age, and then we were moved out of state for seminary and such, so we didn't come here for a number of years, didn't come much, but obviously that has especially changed with our kids getting older. Our kids have been super. If Camp Barakel had done nothing else for me but the blessing it's been in my own children's life, it would be enough.
Yeah,
I mean,
cool.
it's they just flourish here in ways that are so pleasing to me as a father. So I'm super thankful for camp, and it's just been great for my family, great for me. I mean, I have obviously great friends that I've that go back 30 some years, and as we've already said, I place a high value on friendship. It's a big deal. So spiritually, as a kid came here as a camper. I remember a middle school camp. I don't remember who the speaker was, but they showed this. It was like a movie. Which sounds random. I just don't think they showed films much, but they showed a movie. And it was chapel. It was chapel. Wow. And it was kind of like a missionary ministry thing. I feel like it was.
Did you wake up in a fever after this? Was this
I did. I woke up in a fever in looking for the source of a South American river. So don't take anything from what I'm about to say. But it was like I feel like it was like this Johnny Appleseed kind of theme thing, but it was about ministry basically. And I just remember being one of the more profoundly spiritually moving times for me. I remember I was sitting in the front row, and the guy was doing some kind of invitation about if you want to. And I was a Christian. I'd been saved younger as a child, but just basically give your life to God, devote it, this sort of thing. And he's like, I'm going to count to 3. And when I get to 3, if you want to do that, stand up. So he said 1. I stood up immediately. I was so amped, I stood up immediately, and then I sat back down because I'm like, I blew that. I messed it all up.
You got the timing wrong.
Messed it all up. I didn't realize this was a synchronized operation. But anyway, and so I remember sitting outside of Poplar Cabin afterwards, talking at length with my counselor about it. And anyway, it's
that's cool.
Yeah, it's a very Yeah, Camp has just been a great place for me. I've just been
That's awesome.
friendship, ministry opportunities now, and back in the past as well, and for my family. So yeah, I'm super thankful for camp. I mean, it's
What's it like? I've never spoken in summer. I've spoken to retreats before, but what's it like to speak in the summer? Like, I mean, having been a counselor, a camper,
Yeah.
then counselor, then to come in and speak.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
Well, it is, the first time I did it the first time last summer, and you the first day you kind of go up there beforehand, and no one's there yet, and I mean, almost inevitably to me, I think it's you sit back and go, I used to sit out there, and I'm trying to remember if, either 10-year-old camper Ben or 20-year-old counselor Ben could have envisioned 50-year-old speaker Ben, and I'm not sure that I could have envisioned that back then.
yeah.
And so it's it's a fun thing to do. It's a lot of messages in 1 week.
Yeah.
Which is
How
fun.
many?
8.
Okay,
Yeah. So it's a lot of messages in 1 week, but it's
And that's not even 7 days. So that's 8
no,
in
yeah,
6 days?
It's 1 on Monday,
Very
2 on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then 1 again Friday morning. So so you're really 4 days, 8 messages, and I mean it's a lot of fun. It's the kids are generally receptive, and it's fun. It's a challenge. I mean, a little bit. Yeah, I'm used to preaching to adults, so you got 6th to 8th graders, and like I gotta. Even with adults, generally in preaching, I don't say there's no criticism in this, but one of the things I'm learning about preaching is make it simpler, make it simpler, make it simpler. And you go from adults to middle schoolers and like make it super simple, right? Make it simple and concrete.
Yeah.
And my mind works the way my mind tends to work is I'm interested in the confusing questions that don't seem to go well together. And man, you can't bring those up. You just can't. Keep it concrete, keep it simple. And
Yeah,
No.
that's cool. Yeah, good. Well, awesome. Let's see. Do you have any questions for me?
How has God used camp in your life?
God has used camp in my life to give me my wife.
I mean, that was the only thing, it would be enough.
And if that was the only thing,
Yes.
that would be enough. But I think that Camp Barakel has been a place where God has met me over the years. I remember coming to a men's retreat. So this would have been 20 years ago now, at least. No, was it longer ago than that? Or about 20 years ago, I was working on campus with international students. We had just come back from England, and I did not have any semblance of a routine when it came to studying the Word or prayer. And I remember feeling very convicted. The illustration was something that was just kind of like, it wasn't particularly biblical. It was Tom Harmon was speaking, and I remember it was just this illustration that, like, if you're not getting up and praying for your family and you're not reading the Bible every day, the question was, do you lock your door at night? Do you take care of your family? You get up, you make sure all the doors are locked and everything's settled for the night and go to bed. Yeah. Because if you're not spending time in the Word and you're not spending time in prayer, you're just leaving your house unlocked. You're just opening your family up to whatever is there. And that illustration, I mean, I look back at it now and I think, well, that could be kind of cheesy or whatever, but it didn't strike me as cheesy. It just was convicting, deeply convicting. Yeah. So, and it was a very practical application. Go home and set your alarm. Yeah. And I remember even arguing with people prior to that experience at this men's retreat. It doesn't matter if it's in the morning. It doesn't matter if it's in the evening. I'm a night owl. I work with college students. I should be, it's fine. I'll study the Bible at night. But I came back from that retreat and I set my alarm at 5 o'clock, and I've been getting up at 5 o'clock almost every day, not every single day, but most days ever since. And God just used that for whatever reason. That was like the thing that He used to like give me the conviction to be in the Word, be praying for my family. And I think that's pretty, it's been a valuable thing that I can look back on and say, I know that, like, there's things that any one of us would do when we look back at our parenting and say, I would have done this different. But I can just take this deep comfort in knowing that I've prayed for my family. Yeah. And I continue to pray for my family. So.
And that came from one anecdote from Tom Harmon
One-
20 plus years ago.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, that's
and it was
encouraging
this
to-
place
yeah,
that think about all that had gone on to like, you know, to lead to that moment where there's a chapel built there that I can come and participate in, and you know all of the stuff. So,
Do you ever think in your own preaching in terms of trying to craft a line or statement? Like you can't, obviously you can't, like this will be a 20-year plan for somebody, but do you ever think in terms of trying to, you know, what's a pithy way? What's a pithy way I could put this that people will go, I'm not real good at it, but I've had a couple, not that good, but a couple that I'm like, I think that's something that'll stick with people. And
Yeah.
I try to think of that sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't often come up with them, but
I don't think that way, but I hope that they're there. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't quite know how to craft that, if
Yeah.
that makes sense. So it's like, I don't put a lot of time into thinking about how could I get that kind of response from somebody.
Yeah.
But I pray that God would
Yeah.
provide those moments.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I mean, there's things that'll be radical change, and then oftentimes it's something that I just didn't intend to say, kind of off the cuff, not in my notes, and it's like,
I know what you mean.
that's the thing that stuck out to you, but it's impactful, and I'm like, okay, God, point
Yeah.
well taken. Like that was not the thing that,
Yeah.
like I thought that this thing was the
Right.
big, like
Yeah.
like this is the
Yeah.
crescendo moment of my sermon, and they're over here, and like something I said in the introduction that was like,
Yeah.
man, that was really good.
Yeah. I had something a while back. It wasn't in my notes, and it was, I don't remember what it was, but you would be like, that is the most cliche thing to say. And someone came up afterwards like, that was amazing.
That's the best thing you've ever said.
That's right. And I'm like,
An apple a day keeps
I'm
the
like,
doctor away. Are
yeah,
you kidding?
That's right.
I would have
It
never
does.
thought about that.
Far away. But it's got to be every day.
It's
Yeah.
every day, and it's got to be an apple.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not bananas aren't going to work
Yeah,
here
no.
in this situation.
No.
Apple a day.
So,
No, but yeah. So I mean, I can think of specific things that God has taught me, and then I would say the same thing, maybe to a lesser degree, but still the impact that it's had on my kids. My daughter particularly met her husband here, so again, that's a cool legacy type of thing. And then she just loves this place a lot, and both of my boys have been involved up here too. I think that it's had a really good impact on them and been beneficial to them, but particularly Leah, my youngest. Loves it up here, and it's kind of sad to some degree she can't come up at all this summer because she's working full time, and then her husband doesn't have time off. They were hoping to go and team lead one of those weeks, but they may be able to get free next year to do that. So yeah, Camp Barakel has been really, really beneficial, I think. And I just continue to pray that it'll continue to do that. I mean, it's awesome to be up here this summer and just see things moving, especially after there was the gospel sabbatical last year, and to see camp just flourishing and so many good volunteers and stuff. So, any questions for me? Thoughts, observations, rebuttals?
no, I'll save those for another episode.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you're assuming you're going to get invited back, so I love the presumption.
I'm probably just going to show up. Yeah.
Just because you're going to just show up when you got something to say.
Yeah. Do you have a light outside your usual studio that flashes when you're on air? You don't. So I'm just going to walk in. Yes. I would respect the light, but you don't have.
It likely will happen.
Yeah.
He is our friend, just shows up.
Yeah.
That is true.
That is Ben Glucker's. We used to. It's funny now that he's married. He's a little bit more. He's a little bit more like for planning on when he's going to show up. But there was a time where he was just there. There was also a time where he drove through the night and had to stop and do laps around a cul-de-sac and down some Mountain Dew to survive.
I risked my life for you. You had no one to come visit you on that particular weekend in Columbia, South Carolina, and I came.
Yeah.
But I had pulled a couple nearly all-nighters for a project at school, and I am fortunate.
Are you kidding me? Wait, an all-nighter for a project?
Yeah.
You ever pulled an all-nighter for a sermon?
No.
Okay. All right.
No.
That's good.
No, but yes, those were the days. But I was fortunate to survive that.
That's awesome. All right, so this is going to be a this or that. This is how we end this thing.
This or that?
This or that.
Okay.
So I'll give you some options here. Because these are the questions that people really want to know.
Great.
City or country?
Country.
Okay. Cake or pie?
Pie.
Boy, that was quick. Any particular pie?
Strawberry rhubarb, I love.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I like a lot of pies, but that's the first one that comes to mind.
So this is, we'll stick with the pie theme here for a second. So you got a fresh piece of apple pie in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
Ice cream or whipped cream?
Apple pie ice cream.
Ice cream.
Yeah,
Ice cream.
yeah.
Okay.
Pumpkin pie whipped cream.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I'm totally on that. You got to go swimming? No, you got to. Pool or a lake?
Boy, it depends on the lake. Pool's safe, I suppose, but some lakes I really like. So if big lake, like Lake Michigan, then I'll take that for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's what some people have been saying. That
If it can be a big lake,
qualifying
then yeah.
like the big lakes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and over by on your side of the state, where would you go to?
We go to some inland lakes local to us
But is there
sometimes.
any, like even up in Saginaw where you grew up?
Yeah.
Were there beaches you went to?
Well, you go to
Like,
Bay City, not far from there, but there's a state park, but it's not that nice. Now, my brothers go up the thumb a little ways to Caseville, and they say that's real nice, but I haven't been. But for me to Caseville, it's not that far from Saginaw, but from where we live, I can get to your place in South Haven in maybe an extra 45 minutes, so.
I think you might find this funny, and I didn't tell you this, but Lynn and I had a long weekend. And we were like, it's been a while since we got away. So like, what do we want to do? And we do this occasionally. And we just like try to go. Oh yeah, we saw you guys out right after. Yeah, that's right. Didn't we stop at their? Yeah, we stopped at your house. Yeah. Anyways, I don't know if you knew how we got there. So last time we came to visit you, we had just come from Bay City, but we had basically said like, where are we gonna go? Like we could go up to Charlevoix. We've got a place that we like to stay up there, and we were like. I was like, you know what? Let's go to a city that we hear the name of all the time, but we've just never really been to.
Yeah.
And I mean, I hear Bay City all the time. I don't think I've ever driven into Bay City, ever. Like, I mean, it's like, Bay City, Midland, Saginaw. We hear about those together. My dad grew up in Bay County. Went to Midland High, though.
Okay.
Anyways, so we were like, let's go to Bay City. Is there any humor in that to you?
Well,
like go take a couple of days in the bustling,
let me say it this
beautiful city of Bay City.
I'll tell you an analogous story. I grew up in Saginaw near Frankenmuth, and I remember coming to visit you guys when you were still at Battle Creek Bible Church way back.
Yeah, okay.
And I'm sitting in announcements, and they say, hey, our senior group is getting a bus or vans or whatever, and we're driving all the way over to Frankenmuth. And I'm like, why would you drive all the way to Frankenmuth? But that makes miles more sense than driving from Kalamazoo to Bay City. They've been working hard on their downtown Bay City. It's kind of nice. But there's
a nice brew. We ate at a nice little brew pub down there.
Yeah, they've got several of those, but it's not a destination.
And we were looking for the beaches over there, and it was like, different. So and I don't know why that is. Is it just industry? Maybe you're just still too close to Detroit or something.
Maybe it's just too.
No sandy beaches over there.
Not much. I hear Caseville. You do go 45 minutes up the thumb. I hear that's real nice. My brothers go up there, and they really like it. But Bay City. I grew up in Saginaw. We'd never go to the Saginaw Bay. Never. We go to Holland. My grandma lived in Holland. We go to the beach in Holland.
Go all the way across.
We would. Yeah, we would.
Yeah,
that's great.
All right. Okay, that's fun. So we vacationed in Bay City, but we did go to a concert. So and the Dow Center. So. All right. So I already know the answer to this. It says hot coffee or iced coffee, but I know
How about no coffee?
Yeah, I was gonna say
no coffee would be.
Well, there's a right answer to that. It's not no coffee.
It's Coca-Cola. Yeah,
I knew that.
Yeah, for sure.
Board games or video games?
I don't do video games at all, so occasional board game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Foosball or ping pong?
I like both of those, but if I had to pick one, ping pong.
Okay.
Yeah, but I like them both.
Bitcoin or gold coins?
Bitcoin. It used to Bitcoin. I don't Bitcoin anymore.
Did you Bitcoin?
A little bit. Yeah.
Did you? Do you wish you kept in it?
It's about the same place it is now that it was when I had it. So so it's been up and down and all over since then. But that was fun but addicting. So
okay,
no more of that.
Yeah. Superman or Batman?
No preference. Not into that world.
Not at all. Mac or PC?
Mac.
Okay. Road trip or air flight?
I rarely air flight, so road trip would be more common for sure. Yeah.
And then here's the last one. This is the one that everybody really wants to know the answer to. So we'll end with this. Would you rather have a pet dragon or be a dragon?
Well, pet dragon, those two words together sound, unlikely, but
Any other word with dragon?
the dragon
makes
is
it more likely.
the dragon.
I was thinking red dragon. That sounds more like
Red dragon.
Green dragon sounds really good.
The dragon always ends up being a tragic figure. I mean, so I don't think I would want to be the dragon.
Yeah.
I think I would want to.
The one
that
scale,
controls-
the one scale on the belly,
It's
black
always-
arrow. It's
yeah.
over.
Yeah, the
It's
dragon
over,
is
yeah,
generally
yeah.
a tragic figure, and so the dragon.
Misunderstood. Frequently misunderstood.
Well, they have a peculiar psychology, and I think people, general reptilian psychology is underappreciated, and so I think that's really why they're misunderstood. And I have some insights into that, so I would pick the pet dragon because I think I could actually make that happen.
Yeah, probably help it through its struggles.
Yes. Yeah. Talk to me about your childhood. What was your father like? Yeah, that's usually where they stumble. It's the father.
It's always the dad.
The fathers are detached. Yeah.
Just too aloof.
Yeah.
And expecting you to just figure your own way out through the sky. It's it's just a pain.
Yep.
Okay, well, awesome. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Maybe
Super
I
fun.
think you behaved yourself enough that we'll probably have you back sometime.
Good. I would, because I will have some questions. Given a little more time, I think there's some ways I would like to steer the conversation, and yeah.
Oh, we should do that. Oh, we could do couples. Yeah. Linda said maybe Kelly wants in. It's his wife, so maybe we'll have her on here too if she would.
Yeah.
If she would grace us with her presence. So
So she will have plenty to say.
I'm sure she will. All right. Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Thanks.
Yeah.